Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Phil Anthony. I'm with the ICC, and I work with the digital codes, specifically the Digital Codes Premium platform that we're going to have the webinar topic on today. So I thank everyone for joining. Also with us today is, as a panelist, is Joram Swade, who will help with monitoring any of the chat questions that you have. So we will try to go through this relatively quickly so we can cover everything in a half hour, 35 minutes, and also leave time for questions that you can ask. So please, even though you're muted, feel free to post those chats as questions in the chat box. Joram will go ahead and feel free to interrupt me while I'm talking if it's pertinent to what we're going over in that particular point in the webinar. And then we'll always allow time at the end there to catch up on any questions that haven't been answered or dive a little bit further into any of the topics that you want to ask questions on as well too. So the Digital Codes Premium platform, and if you hear me refer to it as DCP in the interest of time, that's what I'm referring to. The DCP platform is the way that ICC delivers this digital content in a way that has features that allow you to move beyond the limitations of the traditional printed materials. So you don't have those limitations of what you do with content on paper. With the DCP software, you're now able to access codes everywhere. The information is always up to date, and you can easily collaborate with your team members and clients. So these are some of the topics that we'll be covering over today, including the number of titles that we have on there. It keeps growing. It used to be 600, now we're up to 800 plus, and we're continuing to add more. But the fact that you can also view this, it's web-based, you can view it any place where you have access to the internet and a browser. You also have an offline view available in the mobile app that we have as well too. You also have anything pertaining to the revision histories, any updates, as I mentioned, the significant code changes. You're able to create notes, highlight and annotate, bookmark, allowing you to collaborate with your other department members. When you're logged into the DCP platform, you also have the ability to copy and paste and print, along with some really robust search functionalities. And you see at the bottom here, we do offer a 14-day free trial. It does not cost anything. There's no credit card taken, so don't worry about being charged after that time. It just allows you to have full access to the DCP Complete subscription with the over 800 titles that we have in there. And you can peruse through there and look at all the content and see how everything works. And at the same time, I mentioned the mobile app. You can download at the same time and use that during that 14 days as well. So once again, as we say DCP, that refers to the premium platform. You can choose what type of content you were to receive on it. The bottom one there, you see Digital Codes Premium Complete. We do recommend that you look at that one first. That does have all the titles that we have available, contained within it. If you're not interested in having all those, or there's other budget constraints, you do have the ability to have single titles, which, for example, would be just the IBC 2021, for example, or collections, for example, the 2021 iCode collections of the 15 titles. So you could mix and match whatever custom titles you'd like to have. As you start pricing these out, though, if you're doing multiple singles or collections, it does get kind of close to the complete price, which we do, have aggressive discounts on there in bulk purchases at lower numbers. So just as you're in the store, you can run those numbers there to see what would be the best value for you. Here is some of the logos of some of the organizations with content on the ICC DCP platform. We are continuing to add other organizations' content on there. Some of them are definitely just included free and just adds to the number of titles we have. We're also looking to expand to some premium optional titles that even though it may be an extra fee for those specific titles, you can have them still on the same platform of the DCP with your other content as well. Seriously, just kind of covered over the Premium Complete. Again, there is pricing for ICC members. If you're ordering multiple licenses, the end users don't have to be ICC members. But if an ICC member does log in and make the actual purchase, they will receive that discounted pricing. And just to give you a quick note there, I did mention that we try to make it easier at the least number of licenses amount to get a great discount. And like I said, there's a nice calculator on there that will show both an annual plan and a significant discount on a 3-year plan as well too. I will mention that we do have an enterprise platform as well. And as I describe some of the features of the Digital Codes Premium platform, I'll refer to those as licenses. What we have on the enterprise platform, we refer to as seats because they are dedicated seats. The DCP platform licenses can be shared in a concurrent group, whereas the enterprise platform seats would be dedicated, and that would be for organizations that people do not have the ability to share license. They would need to be able to have access at any point. And there's a few more administrative features that would allow you to selectively bring in specific users, remove users, and that probably gets into, if you got maybe 50 or more, becoming more of a system that better fits larger organizations. So now I'll go over to the actual website where DCP resides. And I think if you're on this call, you probably are familiar with this web address at codes.iccsafe.org, because we do provide this content in a free basic view. So maybe it's homeowners or contractors, people who may not live in the codes all the time and need access to them, they would have the ability to be able to search certain titles and be able to view that information in a free basic view. So for example, if I were to pull up, you can see I'm not logged in yet. I'm at the website here. So looking at it in a free basic view, it will pull up the 2021 IRC as I search for. You could still navigate through the sections and be able to view any of the sections here in, once again, as I mentioned, a free basic view, as you see here. So you don't have the ability to copy paste or access any of these other premium content icons either. But now if I were to sign in, so let's say you're the person that has acquired their new DCP license. Once again, you're in the same website. I'll mention that as you complete the purchase in the ICC store, once you have the licenses acquired, they are not in the iccsafe.org website anymore. They're at the codes.iccsafe. So here we are. You see, I just logged in. Shows my name here. Change the digital codes green only logo and to have them premium, showing that I'm on the premium platform. And it shows what titles that I have available. I have the complete. And as I show you this is the same chapter that I pulled up in the free basic view. But now if you notice, if I do the highlight, I am able to copy and paste from here. That's one of the first features that people definitely enjoy having. You can put this into an email or a document where you need to refer to it as. And it also unlocks all of the other features here as well, where you have the ability to highlight sections, create bookmarks, share, and print, which I'll go through. Over here, it's easy to navigate through this title. As you saw before in the basic view, still has the same features where if you click on the individual chapters, it will break out into the sections and you can dive right into those specific titles as well. Since I'm here, I'll mention this, the My Notes. When you click on there, that will give you the ability to see any notes that were created within here. And this is where we were talking about the collaboration tools, where you're able to see any of the notes. For example, as I'm in this section in the title itself, if I was scrolling along, you'd be able to see that, yes, someone has highlighted this area here, and you would have the ability to also create custom notes within there. You're able to separate by specific project tags that allow you to organize, and then it always shows you who the person was that created that note. And then as you see this loaded in over here, this does list all the notes that were created in here. So as I'm in my notes section, if I were to click on there, it would take me right to those notes as well. Also, as you can see here, there is the ability to sort the project tags that you have. So if there's a lot of them in there, and you can customize these any way you want. Some people may use property addresses or commercial buildings, names, things like that. But this would give you the ability to sort down and narrow down exactly to where you would want to search for. And I'll show you how to create a note here in just a second. But as I have this one here, this one was tagged as the code development process. So I wanted to show you these icons here. I'll go through these in a second, but just to show you here, if you are ever going through any of the contents and titles, and you see an icon or text that you're not familiar with what it means, you can always refer to here. For example, the blue text would be showing changes from previous editions. There's also state amendments that will be shown in red. Margin icons. I'm going to go through these sections here in a minute, and then these are the tags that I'm going to discuss right now. So if you're ever going through and need a little bit more explanation on a marking, it'll be in the legend information there too. So here, for example, in this chapter 3 title, you see several icons here. The E will show you any of the errata documents that have been created, so you're able to link right to those and view those as well. The premium additional content, actually, let me show you the CDP first. CDP co-development process will give you the ability to see any proposed changes to that, the current codes in the cycle here. It'll all be listed. Going through here, we'll have the proponents and listed and the type of changes that are being proposed, and you can just follow right through here, showing the request, the cost impacts and everything. And then why I waited to show you this part, the premium titles over here also relates to additional premium materials, but one of the items that is in there would be the actual code hearing videos, which you can access and view right on the screen here as it's loading. And we have many here. And some of those they'll open in the new tab, and there'll be hearing videos if they're available right there as well too. And then the ES would be the evaluation services report. So any products that are in there that referred to in that section will also show the reports that can be generated from there as well too. All right, so if I clear that and it shows all my notes again from the filter. Oops, just double clicked it. Now I'll go to the icons here. So the waffles to the side will allow you to, as I showed before, create a note. So this is a highlight. The other one is a bookmark. The difference between the two would just be how the annotation occurs. The actual, if I were to highlight, it will show then highlight. If I'm using a bookmark, it both has the same interaction where you can create custom notes here, and pretty extensive on the amount of options that you can use within the text, where you can do the crossouts and everything else that you may want to add for emphasis. And then you have the ability, once again, to tag that, and then that will save that. And then, as you see, automatically pops up right there. So people, as we said, going through the section will be able to see the notes that were created. And I'll show you how we can manage notes as well, too, after. You also have the ability to share this section link. If you use this widget here to send out the email, I'll let you know that it does come from ICC email address. So if you prefer not to have that, you could just copy the URL. And as you see, it says link copied to keyboard. You can put that right into a document or an email, and you could send that link out. So it'll link directly to that. If people have free basic view that they can view the link with, they'll be able to click right on that and see that as well too. You do have the ability to print. Now, you obviously can't print the entire book or the chapter, but you can print sections with subsections. So if I were to select this, it's going to take that section along with the underlying subsections, and it'll format into a PDF type document, which then will give you the ability to do two things for you. You could obviously print this as it loads up, actually down at the bottom, as you saw there. Whoops, clicked it too fast. There it goes. All right, so formats in a nice PDF type document. You could download this directly to your desktop and use any of your PDF editors as you would to mark it up. And then obviously you would have the ability to print that out as well. So it does give you the advantage of being able to print from the book. Formats everything nicely. At the bottom will be the footnote showing that it came from the ICC, so people know that it is the official and authorized source of that document. All right, so I will take the opportunity to continue on to talk about the notes because it's got a couple advantages here. So you saw me create a note, you saw me going through the title and viewing notes that were made previously. And every time a note is made, it will be documented and accessible in the annotation and report. So you saw it read my notes, but basically a notes would mean any highlight or bookmark where you're able to create a custom note with. So if I were to scroll down, here's the 2021 IRC that I created those notes in. You can do two things here, actually. You can select notes to be printed. I selected all those 8 notes. You can take notes across different sections, for example, or different titles. I'll bring in the IFC. And I had mentioned the mobile app that does allow you to connect in a great, robust, like phone or tablet format. You still have all the ability to search through this code sections like I was showing you here on the browser. You can still make notes and view them. But if you are offline, you would not have availability to view those notes, obviously because you're not attached to the platform, but you could create or generate a PDF with those notes. So it will take those 8 notes from the IRC that I created. You got the custom title there, obviously, that I showed you. And it brings in the IFC that it had those as well, too. So if you were going out in the field, you would have access to a downloaded version of the IRC on your phone, and then you could have your notes with you as well too in a printed version. Also with the notes, what you're able to do, we're in the 2021 cycle. So as you saw, the code development process, the code sections are being revised where needed. You would have the ability to now migrate these notes into the next cycle. So when 2024 comes out, instead of having to go through your current cycle of Post-it notes or whatever you have in there where you've made these notes and physically moving them to the next version, you would have the ability to move them automatically. You have 2 options. You could move them all, which would remove them from 2021, or you could clone them, which would keep the notes in both versions, both cycles. And the system is intelligent enough to know that if a code section number has changed slightly, where to attach it so that it stays within, the correct parameters of where it should be and where it should occur and show up in the future cycle. All right, I'll go back to the home page here to kind of give you an example. This list of categories and different titles will be available when you have, before you acquire the license. So you can view what the content is, and also when you have your license, you'll be able to jump to those sections directly from that organized area. So as I go back to the home page here, as you can see, these are where they have the different categories. So if I were to choose, standards, for example, as this pulls up here, it'll show you. Actually, let me click the arrow so it'll hover above it and it'll just show you the table. Those are all the standards that are available that are referenced in the I-codes. If you wanted to jump to a specific I-code title or year, this will pull up the options and it will display. Whenever you do these title searches, it will display the most current cycle first. But if you're in a jurisdiction or you're working someplace that needs to have a previous one, for example, that's the nice thing about the Digital Codes Premium is that you're going to have the current cycle. You'll have any amendments or changes, errata added to it. And if you need to refer to previous cycles, you'd have the ability to go back and view those as well. So it's the same concept of accessing the titles from the left-hand menu or from the main menu as well too. I'll point out a few things that come with Complete that people like to have and are glad that they are on this platform. We have the commentaries everyone's probably familiar with too. So those are included with the Digital Codes Complete. It will be for commentaries for all the cycles that we have digitized. Also with this, we have the revision history, significant changes. And then for people who are studying for the exams, we also have the study companions on there, along with the flashcards. So as I mentioned, we're adding new content in all the time, and it will make it easy for you to access whatever title you're looking for. Which now I'll jump in. Actually, Jorm, I'm not looking at chat. Any questions on that part before I go into search?
No questions are coming yet.
Okay. All right, so at the top there, I've entered in the search term means of egress. And as you're probably guessing, as it goes through, it will give more results than what you're probably looking for. And that's probably why it's spinning so long here too. If I remember correctly, as it comes up, yep, 27,000 different results. So if you're just typing in something general as that, it's going to search through the entire platform of where this will occur, where the term occurs. And what we've done is we've tried to make this easier for you to narrow down. So once you have those initial, or you could, start plugging in these factors here to narrow the search down right away. But we try to do it in a method that's, pretty kind of formulated of how you might want to first search these down. So if we do just I codes, we'll narrow it down that way. But as you can see, you can go across any of the resources, standards, or specific states. But I just selected the I code, so it will now turn that down. I think it's 4,700 if I'm got, no, 2444. So as you see, it just took that number down, and then year might possibly be the next one. And then we'll take that down to just 2018. You can get to specific titles. If you just want IBC or IRC, you can do that. And also it can be as specific for the content type. It could be just looking in appendices, or you just want figures or tables there as well too. So as you saw, I brought that down to maybe a more reasonable 642. As we said, we could have narrowed it down to specific titles. And the way it's presented, we also try to make it easy. This is called a breadcrumb trail. So as you can see, this one's coming from the IEBC, this one, the IBC and IFC. So you know exactly what the title is. If you want to jump right at the beginning of the title, you could. Beginning of the chapter, section, or subsection, you can jump right to as well. So it's nice. It opens up in a new tab. You still have your original results over here. So if you wanted to open up other ones, it will take those links as well too. But then it will open up right in the new tab, and you'll be able to go right to that section. And as we said, the highlights and notes and everything else, that option is there as well too. What you can also do is an advanced term search. So I'll go back to this same search page. And if I click on advanced term search, you're probably familiar with the different types of searches you can do, being exact phrase, or find a section with all these words, or any of the words, or none of the words, where this may become in handy. In that example of means of egress is having a near-term search. And what that will do is look for where the words egress and basement, as you see over here, occur within 50 words of each other. So it gets even more specific, bringing just back those results, which ends up being 9. You also have the ability, if you want to save a search, you can name that, and that'll be in your dashboard as well too. So try to make it as easy for you to access the content from many different ways. I'll go quickly over to this just to show these. Most of these are self-explanatory, and as I mentioned, if you're looking to make this purchase, the near future, definitely do the 14-day free trial. We advise to get, if you have a team of people, have them all do it at the same time so you can get some feedback on it, so you can really focus on what your objectives will be and how many licenses would work best. And I'll go over configuring licenses and those options as well too. But this just kind of shows you your dashboard. So you have the availability to search your contents. It'll show you your library, pulls it up right away here, and it'll show you recently viewed. You notice some of these hearts are filled in, some of them are not. That will allow you to favorite specific titles. So if I want to be more to the titles that I refer to often, you can favorite those. And then we add this tab in here, recently added, just because we are adding titles so frequently that if you want to see what was new and what was in there, you're able to do that as well too. Going down here, I will go through, let's do the premium for teams and kind of jump into that. So as I mentioned, we're looking at this platform. This is the Digital Codes Premium platform. I did mention the enterprise platform solution, the look, feel, user interface. The features are all the same on both ones. It just would depend on how you would like to deploy your licenses or seats and the type of users that you'll have. So as I mentioned here, as I'm showing you this, it's the concurrent licenses. So for example, if you had 20 people in your department that needed access to the codes, if all 20 of them, needed to have always on access and not be sharing a license, you could get 20 individual licenses and have each of those people assigned a license. If those people need to collaborate with each other and you see the sharing of notes as being useful, you could take those same 20 licenses for 20 users and make that one group of 20 concurrent licenses. And if you distribute that code just to those 20 people, then obviously there's only, one license for each person, so they would always have access. And then they would also have the ability to be able to share those notes. So any of the notes that are created in there could be either individual only to one user, or if you create a concurrent group of 1 to however many licenses you want, anyone that is using that concurrent group of licenses can make notes and view notes that other people can see as well too. On the enterprise seats, like I said, I'll mention that, and you're in that situation where you have to deploy 50 or more seats for people to have access. I can describe some of the ways, the advantages with the administrative tools there, but it just kind of gives you a highlight here at this website here where you have the ability. So I'll focus right now on the concurrent licenses with digital codes and give a couple more examples. Going back to those 20 users, let's say your budget only would allow for, let's say, 5 licenses. You could get 5 licenses and make that one concurrent group, and you could share that concurrent code with those 20 users. So there would be a 2-step process. After you've acquired the licenses, you make them a concurrent group. Then any of your users would still have to create an account here. And like I mentioned, all this access is at codes.iccsafe.org. So the first step would create a free account. If they're already have an ICC account login, it is a single sign-on. So anything that they've used to access content in the ICC store or other website can be used here as well too. So when they log in, it'll show their name, and they probably do not have a license yet for any of the titles. So that would be blank here. But since you've given them a code to use this group of concurrent licenses, the next step would be to log in here, and they could enter in their access code. And once they enter that in, they would be in the group of concurrent licenses. Their name would change to the title that you've given that group, and they would be able to access all that content that you have acquired. If it's the complete license, you've got 5 complete licenses, you made them a concurrent group, all 20 of those people could access all the titles in the complete platform. The limitation would be 5 at a time. So the first 5 in there would be able to use it. The 6th person and above would be given a message saying that all licenses are currently being used, to try again later. And they would have to wait until someone had logged off. And just to let you know, if there is someone logged in to a concurrent license and there's 20 minutes of inactivity while logged in, it will automatically log them out, so they're not monopolizing a license there. So there's that feature that would allow that, but it's a start. That's what a lot of people do. They'll start to get 25 to 50% of the licenses that, their total number of users would be. And then if you need to add more licenses, because people would like to have more access, you can always add more licenses into the group. If you're in a department or a larger organizations where you could make a single purchase of, let's say, 50 licenses, and you could make 5 groups of 10 concurrent licenses for different departments. Sometimes that happens. The inspectors who want something separate from another group that would be in there, so they could have all their notes and work together. And maybe there's 5 licenses for 5 inspectors, so they're always on. And then your other groups, maybe 5 licenses for 10 or 20 people who may not be accessing the codes as frequently. All right. There's always going to be questions on that, Jorm. So let me circle back to that at the end. I think we're right on time here. So we'll let me spend 5 more minutes just going over a couple of these items, and then we'll group everything together and answer questions for the last 20 minutes here. Excuse me. The premium for teams we went through. Let me just spend some time on show you the link for the mobile app. That always ends up being a question. So as we mentioned, this Digital Codes Premium is web-based. So there is a lot of advantages with that. Yeah, and everyone's familiar with how to use a browser. Let me go back to here as I circle back and remember that I forgot to show a couple things. So as you're in a section here, it has the hover view. It will give you a quick view as to what that link would go to. Since it's, like we said, browser based, any way that you've familiar with using a browser to shop on Amazon or whatever, you can do that too. So instead of having to use the back and forward button, I just opened up a new tab that opened up that link, but yet I still had my original link here too. If some people have said, I'd like to see this on a split screen, same way you might use anything else on your browser, you can open it into a new window. You can reformat and resize your pages so you can see them side by side too, all without losing the actual starting point where you were at. So going back to the web app, that's as mentioned. So this doesn't you don't have to put it on specific pieces of hardware, computer. It doesn't reside on a network drive or anything like that. You could access with your account from your office computer, from your laptop when you're at home, from your mobile phone on that web browser. And then also I mentioned the app. So let's just take your phone, for example. If you logged in through your browser, you could access all this content as I'm showing you here in the same type of structure that you're seeing on the desktop, obviously just formatted for the phone. But you also have the option to download this specific app, and then works like, I guess I'll just use Netflix as an example. So you download it. It's a little bit different look and feel, but it still has the same robust features as you can see here. You still have your carousel of titles, a nice little index. And while you're attached, show the phone version of it, while you're attached to the internet via Wi-Fi or data, you would still have access to your notes, as I was mentioning before. You can see right there. But if you're going to be out in the field and have no data access, you could download up to 15 titles and access them offline. I mentioned, you have complete. There's over 800 titles. We just put 15 for what the app would have for space for downloaded titles. Whenever you want to change titles, if you downloaded all 15 and then you need a different one, you just delete one and download a different one for whatever use you would have. So you do that right within the app. Obviously, when you're attached to Wi-Fi, the process will be quicker. But this is what I referred to as before. So you could be out in the field, you could have no internet access, be on a plane, and still have the ability to go through and search those specific titles and go through all the code sections as well too. All right, let me circle back to, I know you probably got some of the questions organized, Jorm, here too. And whenever I pull up a window, I'm like, there's so many other cool features that I forgot to talk about as we're right here. So once again, as we got it digitized, you saw it displays the most recent version here, but up in the right-hand corner, it's already in the 6th version. So unlike in the past where you've got the printed books on your bookshelf, or maybe you downloaded the first PDF, for example, in the first version of 2017. Since then, there's 6 total versions. So these, when they become available or any changes are made, they get dropped right into your Digital Codes Premium platform. So you're always sure that you would have access to the latest information, along with being able to reference earlier versions as well, too. Let me pause there, Jorman. Tell me which direction to go for which questions first.
There might be some questions directed at you, but I haven't seen any on the actual Q&A or chat.
Okay, I did see a couple come through, so let me just pull down my chat as well, too. All right. Someone downloads a code to a mobile device for offline access. Does it tie up a license? Yes, when you log into your app, if you're using a concurrent code as you log in there, and you saw in the screenshots, I know John posted the links to those apps with the screenshots. It for you to access the content, you would enter in your concurrent code. So anytime that you're in the app, if you're using a concurrent code, then you would be using one of those slots as part of your access if you're in a group of licenses. How long does the offline version work? The access timeout, I think it's still the 20 minutes. I'll have to double check on that. I know that if you leave it and you're not using it, it is tying up the license. The only limitation would be, well, not the limitation, but the timeout that they have is every 30 days you would have to re-download the titles that you would want. So that would be, it's just a workaround, because some people have, not a workaround, it's just a solution because some people have monthly subscriptions to this as an option too. So every 30 days you'd have to download it. The content, yes. So if downloaded, well, locally, okay, that's a good question. And once again, I go back to the Netflix example. When you download a Netflix movie to watch offline, you didn't actually download a file to your device. You've downloaded it to the Netflix app. So same thing here. So it's not sitting on a desktop or in your phone in the file sections. You've downloaded, so it's available offline. You access it by going into the ICC DCP mobile app. And yes, you can use that when the internet is down. Okay, that was all the questions that were directed specifically to me, Jorm. Anything else come up? Also, as I mentioned, the updates is we always put there because we're always adding new content. And that reminds me, let me go over to here.
There was just one question, Phil. Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
With there being 800 titles, what is the best way to search to find the title you need?
We give you many ways to do that, maybe too many options. I don't know. But first of all, well, go run through the options right here. If you're looking up for a specific title, I'll just type in IRC. This will give you content searches, and this will give you title searches. So that's one way. As you see, it presents all the most recent ones. If you want to see all title results, it'll pull those up as well too. I just selected that. Shouldn't bother letting it load. But then also, this will come back to the carousel view. That's why I'd opened up before. You can also search through the iCodes by pulling it up there. I think most people might type in the address bar, but I've just become used to using the menu there. So I kind of showed you that way as well too. And then once again here too, if I'm looking for the study companions, oh, let me do commentaries. And actually, it's well, so yeah, there's a couple different ways to search for titles. Whatever you find the easiest, you can do it right in the search bar. Note that the the content searching for that specific word will be first, and the title search will be at the bottom there if you're just looking for specific titles. We'll make a note here, since the commentaries are very popular. I've had some people ask about them and they're like, yeah, I just want to keep the commentary separate because I don't want to have to wade through everything. Just to show you, I opened up one section here. So you see the 401.2 code section. In diamond is where the commentary is being made. Nice little button here though, I can hide that. So if you're used to just looking at the code, you want to scan through, get to the section where you want to be, then you can show the commentary and expands out like that. So that's a neat little feature. There is also this page here if you're looking to see what contents are incomplete. I think that just went up another 10 titles this week. That is a dynamic count. So you'll see as those are being added. I think I can release the news that ASTM is being added probably here in the next month or two. So that is on the way. That is an included title that there's no extra charge for. It's included with your current subscription. You can search for specific titles if you're looking to see is complete worthwhile for me. Most of the time it is. There's also the ability to view, for example, here's the ones I mentioned that would be an additional cost as an add-in. Just to kind of explain this, for example, the ASHRAE standards are referenced in the iCodes, so that part of it is part of complete. But if you want the full standard version, then you could add those on to your platform as well too. And then the recently added is always fun to see. Those of you from California, new code cycle release, so that's the big one this summer here. But as you see, we just keep adding more additions and titles to the digital codes complete. All right, Jorm, any other questions that I may not have missed? And I'll make this a last call for anyone that wants to post any more further questions in the chat.
No, looks like that was the only one.
Okay, just look through mine as well too. All right, I will stay on to the end here, but just kind of to wrap it up. And people do have individual questions, feel free. But just wanted to stress this point where if you don't, let me log out here to show you where it is. Get the free trial. You'll see that the Digital Codes Premium Complete is a solution that will allow your organization to access codes and standards that are always up to date and can be accessed just about anywhere, and allow you to collaborate with your team members and meet your objectives. The best way to get a start on this, if you don't already have a license, is start the 14-day free trial. As you see here, there's not asking for a credit card or anything. You'll get immediate access and you can try that out, and it is for the complete subscription, so you'll be able to see everything that's on there. And let me move this around here too. There is we didn't get much into the pricing, but I did want to make note of that. Let me drop this into chat, Jorm, if I can. But this is there we go. Easy way to, like I said, I didn't get too far into the pricing, but on our shop is a calculator using the complete as an example. You can see what the pricing would be if you are an ICC member and are logged in. You'll be able to have that discount applied, and this kind of shows you the discount again too. We try to make it easier. If you're getting one license, that's probably benefit or cost beneficial to get two, and if you're getting four, you probably the fifth one's almost free depending on the terms. So take a look at that, and also the option of having billed every 3 years does decrease it significantly as well too. So this is a pricing calculator, allow you to go through. If you're looking at other collections or single titles, you can do those instead as well. All right, I appreciate everyone's time attending this webinar here on July 12th. I will stop the recording now, but will remain on for another 5 or 10 minutes if people do have additional questions. I'll be able to either answer directly or take off my mic again, but thank you everyone for the time. Feel free to contact me if you have specific questions about how your department or organization can utilize the digital codes, and have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you all.